How we doing? Great. Yeah, you guys all chilling out here on the couches and stuff. So, hey, thanks Gail for the introduction, and thanks you all for being here. We're super excited to have you here. Kind of getting this group back together and having a developers conference is long overdue for us, but we think we've got some super exciting things to be sharing with you all over the next couple days. There's a lot of momentum behind eBay right now, and no better time to kind of re-energize our efforts with you, our developer community. As Gail said, I do buy and sell a ton on the site. And, you know, look, I do it first off just because it's fun, and you kind of get addicted to it. But also it's about understanding the experiences that our buyers or sellers are going through, so that way we can really, drive the, kind of make changes, understand the pain points, and then work, whether it's on our own site or with you all, our developers off-site, to address some of those pain points. And so today, when I'm sharing with you, realize that it's kind of grounded in hopefully a deep understanding of our experience and the pain points, and hopefully you'll pick up some things that really are around how we can innovate together in our ecosystem. Okay, so seeing as how I'm kind of first up from our keynotes, what I wanted to do is to start out with a little bit of an overview of eBay, and just talk about our size and momentum, and then our business strategy, and then we'll jump into a little bit around how you all can, how we can work together. So first off, we are, one of the world's largest marketplaces. So as you think about where you're allocating your resources, how you're working, how you're innovating and building tools and that sort of thing, realize you're doing it with one of the largest scale marketplaces in the globe. And so hopefully it represents a big opportunity for you. We're in over 190 markets across the globe. We've got almost 170 million active buyers on the platform. That's over a 12-month basis. And it's growing I'll mention in a minute, but it's growing, so it'll definitely be 170, 175. It's continuing to grow, so it's a large buyer base for you to work against. And also the platform is massively diverse with over 1.1 billion listings. 80% of the ones we sell there are new. Hopefully that'll be something that comes out is, there's a perception of eBay that's over here, and there's the reality of what eBay is that's over here. 80% of the items that we sell on the site are new. Most people would perceive that 80% of the items that we sell are used. 87% of the items that we sell are this buy box called fixed price. Most people would perceive that eBay is all auctions, but really only 13% of eBay is auctions. 2/3 of the items that ship on our site ship for free. Most people don't think about eBay in the context of free shipping. 2/3 of the items that arrive to a customer's home in 3 days or less. Most people don't think about eBay as fast shipping. So, those are some of the big global scale marketplace numbers for you, just to kind of think about as you're thinking about partnering with us and the types of innovations and things you can do with our APIs. The second thing I'll talk about is, besides being big, we've got some momentum here in the business. So first off, as I mentioned, we're at almost $80 billion of GMV. That's on a 2016 basis. If you add in our first quarter, we're now over $80 billion in a rolling 12 basis of GMV. So not only is it big, but it's growing. In the first quarter, we grew at 5%, and we've committed to 2 points of acceleration of GMV this year. So the expectation is that GMV is going to be continuing to grow. Also, our ecosystem is large and continuing to grow. When I first joined 2 years ago, we were at about 800 million listings on the site. Over the last 2 years, we've gone from 800 million to 1.1 billion in listings. Okay, so there's 1.1 billion listings in our ecosystem, and so it's growing at a really nice pace. And it's coming in all forms of all ways: desktop, via service providers, listing tools, or it's coming in on our mobile app. As an example here, we're adding 12 million listings a week on our mobile app right now. So it's a very vibrant ecosystem. All right, make sense? Mm-hmm. Some things you didn't know? All right, okay. Let's talk about our brand strategy and where we're headed as a company, and what really eBay stands for. At the end of the day, what eBay is about, there's really, first talk about where we play, and I'll come back, and I'll talk about our customers in a little more detail in a minute, but really like what eBay stands for is people who are trying to express themselves and want to be uniquely who they are. And that's really where they leverage our broad breadth of inventory that we have. And it really covers, really any and all categories. There's just almost an endless set of options for you. Or they're looking for great values. And so really what we ladder up to from a brand strategy is that it's around like no matter who you are, eBay's going to help empower you to find your version of perfect, right? We're not, while we want to have great retail standards and while we want to have a great, the great commodity assortment as well. I mean, really where we are is about helping power people's their version of perfect. It's helping them find those things that are uniquely them, things they're hunting for, the great values and deals on our site. And we think that's a very unique, differentiated, and compelling value proposition in the marketplace. And so we have a set of buyers that I'll come back to that we call self-expressionists and treasure hunters. And then our two main seller groups are the small and medium-sized businesses. And then also, and that represents on the U.S. platform over a million small and medium-sized businesses. And then we have over 7 million on the U.S. platform, as an example, consumer sellers. And collectively, it's over 20 million sellers globally between small and medium-sized businesses and consumer sellers on the platform. And the way we're winning with those buyers and sellers and when that ecosystem comes together is first through best choice. As I talked about, 1.1 billion listings. We want that endless supply of inventory on our site. The second is with great relevant experiences. One of the things hopefully you hear about this week is our push around interest, our push around personalization, and leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence to really help people shop that 1.1 billion listings in a very simple way, right? So what we want is to create this great treasure hunt, almost TJ like Maxx experience, if you're familiar with them in apparel, online, but you've got to help them find that great treasure they're looking for quickly. And so we're really working on building great personalized experiences. And then at the end of the day, because we are a marketplace, it's what's inherent in us, we have to have the most powerful selling platform. That means, listing easily, selling easily, all the various facets that require it to be an easy marketplace and one that you make money on as well. So as we think about that in the context of that, the core differentiator for us is bringing buyers and sellers together, right? That's ultimately what eBay is all about, is connecting people and enabling commerce. The big thing is eBay doesn't compete in the marketplace. We are a facilitator and an enabler. We don't own inventory. We don't sell anything explicitly ourselves. It's around connecting our buyers and sellers in that ecosystem. That's ultimately what our core spot is. And we play to our strengths in that. We want to enable 1.1 billion listings and growing. We want to enable great inventory at great prices, at great product, and not competing with our sellers. All right, so that's ultimately our differentiator. It's our sellers and the breadth of inventory and the great values of that inventory that they bring to our site. So for the rest of the discussion, what I thought I'd do is to talk about our buyers for a minute and then talk about our sellers for a minute. As you all know, we have a set of buy APIs and we have a set of sell APIs. And so I thought I'd talk to you about the types of buyers we have on our platform, the way we're going after those buyers, and some thoughts around how you can enable those buyers, and then I'll do the same thing on the sellers. So on the buyers, there's two real main buyers that we talk about a lot at eBay. The first is called treasure hunters, and the second is called self-expressionist. Okay, so when we break our buyers into segments, those are our two main segments. So treasure hunters are coming onto the site, and they're looking for great values and deals. And the way the value gets determined is in many ways, right? It could be the lowest price of a great product. It could be free shipping. It could be an item that they found that they couldn't find anywhere else. But they are a treasure hunter that's on the site looking for a great value or a great deal or some sort of something that is really scarce and hard to find elsewhere. Okay? The second set of buyers we have are self-expressionists. So these are people who are coming on, and they may be buying the most mundane item, like a cell phone case or a pair of socks, but they are buying something like that expresses who they are. As an example, on cell phone cases, like instead of just buying that everyday black cell phone case that everybody has, Like I have one that looks like a Nintendo console on the backside, all right? Because like I used to play that all the time when I was growing up, the old school Nintendo. Or you buy a pair of socks and it's kind of the fun socks, right? That has something that's something that you're uniquely interested in. That's who our core buyers are, and that's what they will look for on eBay, and that's what keeps them coming back, is those great treasures or expressing uniquely who they are. And so what we're doing is we're doing a ton of things to drive more buyers onto our platform, mostly in the realm of marketing. You're going to hear, so the way we think about driving active buyers on our platform is great marketing. Once they come on the site, it's a great shopping experience. And then after they've shopped, we're following up in much more fashion than we have in the past with great customer retention and churn management, okay? And so you're going to hear a lot more about the shopping experience work we're doing, and that sort of thing. But what I wanted to spend time on as a North America business unit owner is what we're doing to drive that traffic on our site and to drive the business. And one of the big things we're doing is we're in the middle of a large brand launch. And about 2 weeks ago, we launched a new campaign called Fill Your Cart with Color. And it speaks right at the sweet spot of the buyers I talked about. It's about filling your cart with color. And what it means is, obviously color is a proxy for diversity. It's a proxy for, fight against conformity. It's a proxy for expressing yourself. It's a proxy for, filling your cart with things that allow you to be uniquely who you are. And I'll share with you the commercial in a minute that kind of speaks to it, but it's really the challenge against status quo and making shopping fun again. And so that's one of the big pillars we're trying to lean into from a marketing perspective. The other couple things that you won't see in this spot that we're also leaning into is around pricing. So we're definitely leaning in more to demonstrate that we've got a great price advantage across the site and speaking to those treasure hunters. And we're also leaning into a lot of functional facts to demonstrate that the platform is changing. As I mentioned earlier, the 80% new, the 87% fixed price, the 2/3 of the time it ships for free, those sorts of things. We're leaning heavily into those as well on messaging as well as programs. But this one's really all upstream, consideration, marketing, as well as really encouraging people to kind of challenge the status quo around conformity. So with that, I'll roll the spot just so you can kind of see some of the things we're doing in the market.
It's here.
So we launched that program, that TV spot 2 weeks ago during Game 2 of the NBA Finals, and that had some follow-on activity, and maybe many of you have seen that. We're running at about 100 TRPs right now a week, which is a pretty robust reach. It's also being activated a ton in digital as well on Hulu and YouTube and other places. And then we've got a ton of other activations we're doing with radio, out of home, and then obviously a lot in display and other digital executions. So that's kind of what we're doing to drive more buyers on the platform. But you're going to hear a lot more over the next 2 days about our buy APIs. So we have a full suite of APIs that allow for really off-platform transactions. And what I would encourage you all to do is to leverage those buy APIs and go out and create fantastic experiences. And what we want we've got an affiliate program where you can go in and register and kind of earn an affiliate fee, and then go out and build great experiences for these. Here's the types of things that we're looking at. So we're a big believer that in 10, 15, in maybe 10 years, well, let me back up. We're a big believer right now that it is, for off eBay, we think about it is like 2008, 2009. Everybody remember when the iPhone came out? Yes? 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 Okay. I remember when I was running an online business and the iPhone came out, we were like, should we build an app, right? That was the question in like 2008, 2009. How big's mobile going to be? Should we be building an app? And it went from no to yes in about 24 hours when the iPhone came out. And then you look at it now, and almost 50% of eBay's GMV is done on a mobile phone. 50%. So the $80 billion of GMV we do, 40 million of that is on a mobile phone, sorry. So that's how we think about where we are in this next wave, and we call it kind of the fragmented marketplace, right? That we think there's going to be a large percentage of our business over time that's not done on ebay.com, mobile or web, or on one of our apps, but it's going to be done out in the kind of internet ecosystem. You know, it could be done inside of social. So say on one of the big social platforms, we tee up our inventory and someone purchases it through a social platform. It could be done in the VR concept. It could also be done on any of the Internet of Things concepts, right? It could be done on an affiliate site, right, that's in the web domain. It could be done in an international property, so we're opening up a new market. But these are all different ways that we're absolutely really fired up about enabling you, our developers, to go out, leverage our APIs, and build phenomenal experiences that open up the eBay ecosystem to a whole new set of buyers. Make sense? All right, so now on the sell side, let's talk about the types of sellers we have. So it breaks down really simply into almost 4 25% buckets, okay? Of the $80 billion in GMV we do, really breaks into 4 easy buckets. 25% is consumer sellers, okay? So these are consumers. Every single day they're selling 1, 2 things at a time, but there's millions of consumer sellers that are leveraging eBay for selling. That's about 25%. The next 25% is really small businesses, usually a sole proprietorship, okay? And they're selling on our platform and they're doing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. Then you've got these kind of medium-sized businesses. That's the third 25%. They're doing somewhere in like the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. Maybe there's 5 or 6 employees at that point, and they might sell on multiple platforms. And then you end up with our large sellers. Okay, and that's the last 25%. And these are folks that are doing well over $1 million a year, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. They're definitely multi-channel, if not also brick and mortar. And they've got tens of hundreds of employees that are working for their business. So 4 easy segments of business. And they have different needs, right? So the consumer seller is really mobile first, right? They've got the app. They're going to take a picture with their phone. They're going to list it directly inside the app, but they're a mobile-first orientation. The small businesses are almost all desktop-oriented. They like to sit down in front of their desk. They're running the business. They're using kind of web-based applications. They're not using a lot of APIs. They might use a service provider. They might not exactly use eBay. They might use another service provider, but they like to interact with us in a web-based environment. Then you get in the middle and the medium and larger size businesses, and there's all different types of integrations they might do. They might do a direct integration with our APIs. They might be using a larger channel-like support function, or they'll do direct integration with us. But there's a kind of changing needs across these different sellers, and that's great because it allows all of you all to think about what's the right niche for you in terms of working with our seller community, okay? So the types of things that we're trying to do, our sellers tell us they really want 3 things. The first is reach and velocity. So they want to grow their business. And so the big thing we can do is get more traffic and buyers on the platform for them, and then give them tools like promoted listings and other sorts of things to enable their business to grow on eBay. The second thing our sellers tell us they want is like smart, easy, profitable selling. So they want to be able to list simply on eBay. They want to be able to manage their business on eBay. They want insights and tools to be able to help grow their business. But they want it to be a world-class selling platform that's a profitable, easy, world-class platform. And the third thing is partnership. So when I would say, our sellers oftentimes sell on lots of platforms. I'd say the thing about eBay that's different than a lot of other platforms, particularly the ones that are a little north of here, is that they are very emotional about their business they do with eBay. There's a partnership there. They know that we're in it together. We're not competing against each other. And so there's an expectation on us as a company to demonstrate that partnership and to work really closely with our sellers to help them grow and run their businesses. So that's the three things we're working on. We've got a whole slew of things we're trying to do there. And so what I thought I'd just talk with you all about is, hey, how can you all work with our seller community to enable them? And here's just some few ideas. So a big thing is multi-channel management. You know, when a seller, let's say that they've got their own brick and mortar storefront, and then they want to build a website and start to enable it. Well, sometimes they first think about going on eBay. Sometimes they first think about standing up their own website. Then they think about going on, eBay. Then they might think about selling on some other platforms. And that's a confusing time for them. Like, each of the sites have slightly different vernacular, very different policies. If they start having one person manually list on each of those sites, then they run into kind of inventory outages, and they end up being double counted, or they're just only putting a certain amount of inventory on each channel, so they're not optimal there in terms of putting their full assortment out. So working with our sellers on helping them manage across multiple channels and leveraging our APIs to be able to do that effectively is a big, big deal. The second thing, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is around inventory management. So our sellers, they're not great at really knowing how much inventory they have, how fast things are moving, what they ought to be going out and sourcing and what they ought not be going out and sourcing. And I think those are like big things you can help our sellers with, is managing their inventory and giving them insights and analytics around what to do with their inventory. The third thing is just around listings management. Again, this is the optimization of the inventory, like giving perspectives on titles and what's the right schematic, kind of Mad Lib for their title. Do they have the right keywords in their title? Helping them look at their listings if a listing hasn't sold in 3 months or 6 months, giving them ideas on how to refresh that listing, pricing, et cetera, that sort of stuff. But really helping our sellers there is a big opportunity. And then analytics. I'd say if there's anything our sellers crave, it's analytics. It's analytics around how they're priced compared to other people on our site, how they're priced compared to people off our site. How fast is the category moving compared to how fast their sales are moving? Those sorts of things as well. So there's a whole suite of APIs out there that you're going to hear a lot more about, and our sellers are constantly yearning for different solutions out there to help them sell better on eBay and also sell more across other platforms as well. And just encourage you to take advantage of those sell APIs. And then, think through your revenue models along with that. All right. So, look, at the end of the day, if there's one message I want you to leave with is we as a business are huge advocates of growing and building a robust developer community. I think Gail will tell you, no one was more of a fan of our buy APIs and our sell APIs than me. We really do believe that on the buy side, that 10 years from now, 15, 20% of our GMV will not be conducted on an eBay.com platform, okay? That it'll be done out in the kind of internet, whether it's on an Internet of Things. As Echo's opening up their APIs, as Google Home's opening up their APIs, as the new HomePod comes out from Apple, how do we innovate and build great applications there that enable buying directly on those? eBay will certainly be doing things, but I'm quite confident that ecosystem's going to explode, and we certainly would encourage you all to be out there innovating. Whether it's just your standard kind of affiliate type things and building great experiences on sites that are dedicated to certain communities of interest and building great experiences there to innovate, go out and help us make that a vision a reality where 10 or 20% of our business is being done off of eBay. And then on the sell side, we've got millions of sellers. We're constantly adding sellers to the platform. They need help. They want help with running their business. And there's all different types of seller communities. And I'd say go out there and get to know our seller communities, find out which ones, you have a solution in mind that will fit well with their needs, and then, build it, and then start working with their seller community to drive adoption. And we've got a lot of different ways you can reach our seller community, whether it's tie-ins to our store subscriptions. We've got over 50,000 of our sellers that have a store subscription, and they get a lot of special bundles. You can tie in there. You can go to our eBay Open where we have sponsorships and booths, and you can present your seller tools there to over 1,500 sellers that'll be there, and plus a lot more on a digital basis. But we have lots of ways as you're building these solutions to bring them to life and help you market them to our seller community. So look, I hope you all have a great next 2 days. Really excited about how we can partner together and kind of grow eBay mutually. And with that, I think I'll open it up to questions for a few minutes.